ladies and gentlemen, this is Tzevaot podcast and chill. Watch uncensored, uninterrupted interview. The only leading podcast in the entire world. Our content is informative, unlimited entertainment, educative, with the finest voice of our host, Raphael Moses. Thank you very much for tuning in. This is Tzevaot Podcast and Chill. Today in this studio we have Yvonne St. John Dutra. He's the writer of the book Be the Hero and is also the leader of Dream Academy. He's right here in South Africa. Yvonne, the writer, thank you for giving us the privilege to talk to you. We learned a lot about you, but we want to know more from the horse's mouth.
Oh, thank you. I'm a horse now.
So you are the owner and the writer of this book, The Hero.
Myself and my partner,
Yeah.
Rich, yeah.
So why did you have to come up with the title Be the Hero? Why do we have to be the hero?
A great question. It's actually the full name is Be the Hero that You've Been Waiting For.
Oh yeah.
So the reason we wrote that book is often we're waiting for somebody to come down from the sky and save us, when really we're the ones who are going to be responsible for our lives and the outcome from our life. So we become the hero we've been waiting for.
So it looks like it comes from somewhere. There are challenges that you faced or you saw that you had to address. Tell us more about the challenges that you're addressing in The Hero we are waiting for.
Yeah, for me growing up, I was raised in what looked like a very typical, beautiful family, stereotypical
Yeah.
father, mother. I was the second oldest, and I had two younger sisters.
Okay.
My dad was a beautiful, loving man. He was away working most of the time.
Yeah.
My mom did most of the raising of the kids. My mom, bless her heart, she did the best she could, and that's what we believe. Everybody does the best they can. But my mom also had a real hard childhood and was abused herself. And so she didn't get any help, any counseling, any support. So even though she loved us as children, it was really painful growing up in our family. Lots of abuse, lots of violence. And so in that, growing up, it was our whole, our childhood, we were traumatized as
So
kids.
the trauma that you were facing at the time was coming from the mother's side, the mother that was raised in a challenging
Yes.
household.
Yeah, and so she just didn't have any tools to do it different. So she just did what happened to her and completed keep repeating the cycle from generation to generation.
So the abuse was coming to you and you had to now take that abuse to your kids because that's what you learned from your
I wanted to be the hero I was waiting for.
Yes.
I didn't want to repeat the cycle. So what I did, and part of the book, and my husband, my partner,
Yes.
we created the book together. He also came from a family where there was abuse. The abuse in his family was from his father. And he was beaten and just verbal abuse, all kinds of abuse. So when we got together, we decided we wanted to break the family cycle, the generations and generations of abuse in our families. And so that's part of why we wrote the book and wrote the programs that we have done for 35 years.
I think from the challenges of the family, it went down to even be a founder and a trainer at Challenge Day.
Yeah, actually, 35 years ago, we first created a program called Challenge Day.
Yes.
And basically, Challenge Day was set up, we created it because at the time we were parents.
Okay.
Yeah, our kids were ages 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Okay.
And we didn't want our kids to go through the same pain. And in school, both myself and Rich, we were teased, we were bullied at school. So at home, we're getting abuse, go to school and getting abuse, and we didn't want our kids to go through it. We were also working at the time as counselors and working with young people, teenagers, who had drug and alcohol problems.
Yes.
And we decided we wanted to get this work and all the healing tools that we were doing out into the world.
And at least you reached out to about 1.5 million people in 10 countries around the world. That was a very huge.
Yeah, there's a lot more now. Many more. Yes, yeah. And it was, it's just organically grew. I mean, we didn't do any marketing or anything. It's just we did the work, and people started hearing about what we were doing with teenagers in schools. And the teenagers were saying, this is changing my life forever.
Yes.
Kids who are going to kill themselves are now becoming leaders in school.
What are the programs that you put in place? Because we just see clips on I mean, when we check about you, you will see some clips of the jobs that were publicized. But
yes.
the jobs that you were doing on day-to-day life, what were they?
So the day, once we created the Challenge Day program,
yes,
that's what we did day after day. We traveled from state to state in the United States of America,
yes.
And then we were asked to do a documentary, and the documentary, Arnold Shapiro was the producer,
yeah.
And it aired all over America, and it was a huge hit, and then our work just spread all over America, all over Canada, and then years later, about 10 years later, we got a call from the Oprah Winfrey Show, and they said they heard about our work. And once we were on the Oprah Winfrey Show, it took from country to country to country to country, yeah.
You have been coming from the challenges, started your own project called Challenge Day,
Yes.
and now you jumped the ship to Dream Academy.
Yeah, but it was after 35 years.
Yes.
We didn't jump too fast.
That was after a long period of time.
Yeah.
Had you achieved what you wanted to when you established this Challenge Day? For you to now maybe decide or say, no, we have to change to Dream Academy? Or was it a continuation of the same but with a different name?
Well, actually what happened was, so 35 years of doing this work, we trained leaders who were traveling all over the world, had an office in the Netherlands, an office in Belgium,
yes.
in India, and so it was just growing and growing. The work was spreading. So then what happened was COVID.
Oh, cool.
So in Challenge Day, as you probably can see in the clips,
yes.
lots of hugging, lots of crying,
Yes.
lots of apologizing, lots of being face to face with people and saying, I treated you like shit and I am so sorry, and kids crying. Not good for a pandemic. Hugging, crying, and all over each other. The week before COVID was really out, in March in 2020, we did a conference with 500 teenagers from all over California, and then the health department said they can't hug. And we're like, oh no, how are we gonna do this? So we said you can just fist bump, or just all the other things. But then when they started getting vulnerable and getting real, because that's what the work's about. It's not just being fake, but it's really about getting into our hearts. Then they started crying and they couldn't help but hug. So then they're hugging and holding each other and crying, and we went back to the office and to our board of directors. It's a nonprofit organization, and we said we have to close because of COVID. We closed the whole organization in all the countries. It was devastating. And so at that point, we were setting up some other things and working on other programs, but then our good friend, Justin Hilton, we've known each other for 30 years.
Wow.
We're family together, we're like brothers and sisters. And he met a man named Joseph in Greece, was a refugee, and heard Joseph's story of the abuse and of the fact that just because he was gay, his mother and his sisters' heads were cut off, killed in front of him to punish him for being gay. And Justin is one of the biggest hearted people in the world, and he says we got to do something about it. So he started creating and buying safe homes for refugees, LGBTQIA plus community. And he was doing these safe homes, and then he came to us because we worked together for years, and he said we got to do something to create a program and bring the work we were doing in schools and companies, because Challenge Day grew. It started in schools, but then we were dealing with everyone.
Now they are
police departments
and they are in their web.
And everywhere. For example, in the Netherlands, they're having every police officer go through our program.
Wow.
And we've done thousands so far at this point. So police officers, doctors, nurses, and anywhere people are together. the program
Shall we
works.
say this is in you, that because I see you studied clinical psychology.
Yes, both my husband and I. My husband is a licensed family therapist.
Yes.
Yeah, and my work has always been working with teenagers, and a lot of my experience was really my PhD in life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I wanted to get this correctly because it should be something that even our viewers should get it from onset before we go deeper.
Yes.
You started doing this project of Challenge Day not because you wanted a business to make money.
This was our passion. People thank us all the time.
Yes.
We get letters, phone calls, thank you, you saved my life, you changed my life.
Yeah.
But all we did was say yes to Spirit, to God. Because it just came through us. It worked so beautifully. It was certainly a divine gift from God that we just were open to bringing to the world.
Was this a lesson that you got from the liberal arts school, or still not?
No.
It was just in you that you wanted.
Well, we also, through all, our education, and
Yeah.
then we go to workshops. We are always students.
Yes.
Go to workshops, take classes. One of the things we did, because we didn't want to repeat the cycle with our kids,
Yes.
is take lots of parenting classes, do lots of studying. So we were helping parents, doing parenting classes, lots of work. So we took all that happened for us. One of the things that happened for me,
Yes.
the abuse got so big, and I ended up with an addiction, and then I was so depressed that I attempted suicide.
Oh.
And in the psychiatric hospital was when it all got together. I realized it was like my life. It was, the abuse at home,
Yeah.
the teasing at school,
Yes.
and then I was raped, and then I was molested.
Yes.
And it was like I had this balloon inside of me with all this trauma and pain.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to die. And I realized that everyone's walking around with big balloons that are filled with trauma. And so our work is really helping us get those feelings out in safe, healthy ways.
Exactly.
And they're natural ways. Children, just turn to children.
Wow.
When a little child is in pain, what do?
They cry.
They cry.
They cry.
Then they cry really loud, right?
Yes.
And they cry for maybe 2-3 minutes,
Exactly.
and then they're like, you want to play?
Yeah.
It's all over.
Of course, yeah.
We know how to heal emotionally and physically. But then in our society, and this is around the world, we were taught to keep our feelings inside. Big boys don't cry. Toughen up, all those messages.
I was about to talk about that because in our African context,
Yes.
a man doesn't cry.
In American context, a man doesn't cry. In Mexican context, men don't cry. In European context, men don't cry. Around the world, they're told you don't cry. But you do cry, you were told you couldn't. And maybe even hit, maybe even beaten,
Yes.
maybe even forced, maybe even punished out of your tears. So then you lose your ability to heal. If you cannot grieve, if you cannot cry, then that grief stays in you. And even if you become free from whatever else, you still imprison in your heart.
Yes.
And you cannot smell the good smells, you cannot see the beautiful colors, you cannot hear the beautiful sounds, because we're just in trauma.
Shock. The trauma
Yes.
is so much within
Yeah.
you. I understand the dealings with the trauma, but you chose to work with specific and very difficult area of people, or problem of people, I can say. You only dealing with people who are passing through difficult times.
No? When we go to schools,
Yes.
everybody.
So you teach.
Yeah, we take 100 at a time at Challenge Day, and
Yes.
then we have parents and teachers and administrators,
Yes.
because you can't just help the kids be educated. Then the people around them aren't, like the people in power, like teachers and
Yes.
parents. So we bring them into,
When you put these groups together,
yes,
the poor and the rich, and you want to discuss or encourage them to be strong using your skills, what message resonates first?
first of all, in America,
Yes.
and imagine around the world, we have a lot of programs that focus on tolerating people.
Okay.
And for us, that just seems crazy to me. I'll tolerate you?
Yeah.
I'll tolerate you?
Yes.
Now come on.
That's mad.
Our goal was love. Because who we are is love. People think our work is about love, but it's not. Our work is about consciousness.
Yes.
Waking up,
Yeah.
becoming conscious. Most people live their life asleep, unconscious. That's why you can drive somewhere or walk somewhere and you don't even remember driving or walking.
Exactly.
So we help people wake up, and when we're conscious, who we are is love. Our goal was love.
You know, I did ask that question precisely because the geographic side of the world, Africa continent precisely, we got the challenge that almost we understand or we take it as a norm that people who are depressed and people who are going through trauma are the poor. Simply because 100 or 95% of their time have to think about what to do, when to do, and how to do it.
Yes.
Now, in the situation that you come from the States, of course, all we know is about drugs and stuff, but we don't know the trauma of what to do, when to do, and how to do it. Resonate with me or give me a message that one person out there in African context looking at you and getting to understand that Mama E is a teacher or is a counselor who speaks to people suffering of trauma of any kind. We are coming out of COVID now, so the trauma is real.
Yeah, for everybody.
It's
rich,
real.
poor, everybody.
Give out a message that resonates to African content as well as an American content in the trauma that goes or comes together with the economic situation.
Yeah. No message, no words, no education heals trauma. The way we heal trauma is to hold your hand and walk the path of telling your story in a safe place and remembering and crying and feeling and being witnessed and then being told, no, you don't have a demon in you because you're gay. You were born beautiful, just the way you are. And then they cry and they feel it and they start to feel their power. These are the lies of the world. This is not your issue, or whatever people's issue, or the abuse you received. That was not your fault. So we just walk the path with them, and as they go inside and they have the courage to look and go, wow, this happened. Because if you just turn like this, trauma behind me, it's in the balloon. It's not away.
It's still something.
Yeah, it's like it's on my back, it's in my heart, it's everywhere. So we have to go back in time and start where it began and tell the stories and feel it and heal it, because we weren't allowed to feel. Even women aren't supposed to cry.
Labor studies that you did are so philosophical and political. And in a political reign, it's policies we are dealing with.
I know.
Now, for people who are traumatized with the systems they are in, because in African, there are some trauma that comes with the law, looking at the geographic position of the person, and looking at the law that governs in that geographic position, there is almost, I can call it agglutination, because it's like blood A group and O group in the same body, fighting within. How can an African person, victim in that situation, survive?
Like fighting within each other?
Because now the geographic position where I am, the law does not give me peace there.
Yes.
I am a gay, but I am not allowed to be a gay in that geographic position.
And in some countries you can get killed or arrested legally.
Exactly.
Yes. In America, it's not legal to kill someone or arrest them for being gay. But every single day, gay, lesbian, transgender people are beat up, are traumatized or killed. So it's just done even though it's not legal, or laughed at, or teased, or spit on, or the same thing happens in every country I've been to around the world. Some less than others in some areas. So you can go to the United States In some of the states, as a gay man or a transgender woman, you can walk freely, and people, because they understand what they've been through, would probably say hi as you're walking down the street. Or,
Yeah.
oh, I see you got a rainbow flag. Oh, how you doing? You know, and then you go to other states, it's like a whole nother world. It's not safe at all to be out.
Dream Academy, you connected to the name Safe Place.
Yes.
Is there any political will or political policy, I should call, that you are pushing to help those who can be in the safe place, which is the Dream Academy, but in the geographical position, which is not safe?
Yeah. Well, first of all, we don't, our first goal is not to take on the politics. It wasn't.
Yes.
Its first thing is get people safe. Just get people off the streets, get people some food,
Yes.
get people shelter. And then when Justin was the first one, and then, like I said, we got together and he's like, this isn't enough because you got all this trauma. You
Yes.
have, and we need to give skills,
Yes.
give tools, give education on how to, to work in the world and so forth.
Yeah.
So we came up with all that we've done in the past, Justin, Rich, and I, and all the successes we had. It was an experiment.
Yeah.
Will this work?
Yeah.
In Africa, in Greece, in different countries where we're doing it, we didn't know. And it's on Zoom.
Yeah.
To do this kind of work on Zoom, we never thought it would be possible, but we were willing to try anything because they needed it.
Yeah.
So if we didn't try, nothing was going to happen. So the first class we did, and we met and we said, we started off, it was just 3 white people, right?
Yes.
And we said it was all African people, and we said, we don't expect you to trust us right away. We don't expect
it has to be gradually because
Yes.
it's something that you're also experimenting
Yes,
with.
and that's what we said to them. By the end of the class, and we said, bye, nobody left. And we said, bye, what a great time. Nobody left, and I said, are you not going to get off Zoom? And then they said, no, we already trust you. I just started crying, and that was the beginning of the Dream Academy. And then we started the classes, and oh my God, the courage. And what happened was people started getting the courage, and it was COVID. So you're in your room, we're all separate. But now on Zoom, refugees, LGBTQ, all alone, depressed, trying to be safe, to even go out at night or anything.
Yes.
But now we had a safe place on Zoom where we come together and start talking freely and saying anything and going into our stories and connecting and bonding as a family. And we had no clue how, and of course, we're all not safe, so we come together, we can be safe together. Yes.
I asked this question precisely because I want to understand. After learning, what then?
After what?
After attending the class,
Yes.
what are the plans?
Yes. First of all, the bigger plan is I'm 62 years old.
Yes.
So at some point I'm going to be retiring in the near future. Or
Yes.
I don't think I'll ever retire, but our goal is for us not to lead it, but for the community to lead it.
Disseminate the knowledge.
So we had our first graduating class.
Yes.
In this class, we saw people transform their lives. And they say, thank you, you transform me? No. We just offered the tools. We just listened. We just said it's okay to cry. Yes, even as a man, you can cry. We cried together. I cried, Justin cried, Rich cried, so we're holding hands, crying together. They come out of the class, and these people are brilliant. They're brilliant. Their hearts are open. There's like, these are the leaders. We have 10 of the graduates right now working for Dream Academy. I lead right now the classes with co-leaders. So I'm training them to be in my role, and one day I will move on and it will be passed on to them.
That's multiplication of the knowledge to others.
Exactly.
In African context, the struggle is real.
Yeah.
I've interviewed 3, if not 4, of the LGBTIQ community.
Mm-hmm.
And the framework of the laws in their countries is a challenge.
Yes.
Such that they run out of their countries.
Yeah.
If you go to Malawi, if you go to Zimbabwe, if you go to, I think it's Ghana, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, Uganda.
Uganda.
Yeah,
too.
Uganda.
Yes.
Yeah.
Zambia is some discussions going on there.
Yeah, no,
but you,
educated.
in the continent of Africa,
Yes.
if there is no any other intervention, it could be deadly to even fight for the freedom
Yes,
of the gays.
I got that. My job first is just to make sure whoever is there knows they're loved, get some time to remember who they are, to get back in their power and the light of God that's within them, and then from there. And now, part of the Dream Academy is we're teaching them tools, how to write proposals. All of them have dreams. Most of them, their dreams is to help the community,
Yes.
to work on the politics, to
Yes.
see what to do.
Yes.
So what we're doing is blowing wind under their wings, and we're saying, okay, what's the plan? What are we doing? Let's see where we can all get support. Who do we need? Who are the politicians that are allies?
Yes.
We're staying at the Westin here in Cape Town.
Yeah.
And the manager, we invited him in because the refugees there are so loved and so welcomed, and they don't have to keep looking over their shoulder to see. And so we invited him in to one of our workshops in person. And he's a gay man, a proud gay man, a father of 3 children, and it's so beautiful. And we all know they're out there everywhere.
Yeah, no.
And so now he comes out to us, we come out to him, and then the words start, and then all of a sudden, and that's what's happened in America.
If I listen to you very well, it looks like also you trying to tell me that if they are out there, they have to be well upright in thinking deeper and thinking forward, learning and getting involved in the community.
The refugees, yes, but if you're filled, if your emotional balloon is filled, you cannot think clearly.
Yes.
That's why we have to go into those feelings, go back in time and cry and be held. On Zoom we can't be held, but we're right there, and everyone's like, it's okay, you can let it out, you can cry, and we stay right there. We're crying on Zoom and tell the story. I know, and then this story is almost exactly the same, and exactly the same. The same rape, the same, we're gonna pull the church in to exorcise you, we're gonna rape you until you're no longer thinking it's just the same story, and then being arrested and beaten, you know the stories. And so often, this is in the name of God. And Jesus never taught this.
That's the painful thing that we have learned or we are seeing in these days.
Yeah.
Courts and the police are full now, opening dockets of gender-based violence.
I know.
And tough enough, it is almost like impossible to bring everyone to book because of the political will or the systems in place.
Yeah.
How many dream academies do we need to consolidate the areas where we come from for people who are in there to feel that they are not in danger?
I don't know that number. All I know is I'm going to help the person who's in front of me, and they're going to help the person in front of them. And it's like when we created Challenge Day 35 years ago. We didn't have a plan. We just helped, and then TV shows came in, and people stood up, and politicians came in, and so I'm just doing loving who's in front of me, and they are smarter than me I don't live in Africa, but they do, and then we bring in allies. We bring in people who are straight people, heterosexual people, who are allies, and so then we could hook up. Okay, I can get through that door, and then I'll open the door for you.
I am with Yvonne St. John Dutra. Stay tuned. Welcome back. This is Tzevaot Podcast and Chill, and you are still with me, Rafa Moses. Right here we are with Yvonne St. John Dutra.
You did great. You did better my name than I do with most African names. So.
Yvonne St. John Dutra.
Beautiful.
Yvonne is the writer of Be the Hero and the leader of Dream Academy. Yvonne, I've heard that you also wrote another book during the pandemic. So when everyone was stressing about how to get out of this situation, how can I make money, you were busy writing.
Yeah, because before the pandemic, we were traveling every week. We were so busy, and it was our dream to write a book. And when we realized this pandemic wasn't going to end soon, we just said, let's just do it. Rich and I, my partner and I, we do everything together.
Okay.
And also Justin, Rich and I do a lot of things together and do workshops together. So it's a team, we're a team. So we decided to write a book, and it is called The Art of Being You.
Okay.
The tools you most needed but never learned in school.
How did you come about that title?
So I don't know about you. For me, in school, I learned how to read, how to write, how to do math. I even learned how to drive a car in my school.
Okay.
But nobody ever taught me how to be me, how to be a friend, how to be a mom, how to be a partner, and nobody ever taught me how to deal with the feelings I had every second of my life, no matter what I was doing. We never got those tools. Wow. And most of us forget a lot of the math, and we have a phone with a computer on it anyhow, and we don't remember the spelling, but we have a phone that can spell for it. We don't need any of that. But what we needed was to learn how to be us, how to be human beings, how to interact with one another, how to love one another, how to heal our pain and our sorrow and our grief. And so that's the tools that we put in this book.
So you call it The Art of Being You. And the tools you never learned in school.
The tools you most needed but you never learned in school.
What could it be? Is it because the education system is a failed system in other countries, or is it because the school cannot teach us everything? Because some of the things you're born and you just, no one teaches you how to walk, you find yourself crawling, and then, so which tools are we talking about?
Yeah, so a lot of the tools are to undo the harm that was given to us. You learned how to crawl by yourself, right? You just said that. You learned how to walk by yourself. You knew how to cry by yourself, and someone told you not to cry. But nobody told you not to walk. Nobody told you not to crawl. But they said, don't cry. Don't do that. Don't do it. And so you got shut down on the inside. I have to say there are some schools that incorporate body, mind, heart, and spirit. We are not just our minds, and that's what most schools address. You're doing these subjects, and that's it. Some of them have extracurricular things, building things, auto mechanics, whatever. But hardly any schools really deal with the emotional part of our life, and yet every single day, every moment, every day, you have feelings. But you're not doing math all day long, maybe not even all week long.
And before I forget, I see the Dream Academy sign. You do something like this.
Yes.
What is this sign for?
Oh, great question. This is actually sign language, American Sign Language for I love you. This is I, that's L, that's Y. You put it together and it's I love you. We use it all the time, but it's really beautiful on Zoom. So when people are sharing and getting real, when all of a sudden you see 30 people going like this with tears in their eyes when you're talking about being beaten or being raped, and people are going, and you know what that means, it's love. It makes a huge difference. The other thing we do in Dream Academy, we never planned it, but at the end of every class, we say, okay, everyone unmute and say goodbye. And starting the first class, people started saying, I love you, I'll see you next week, I love you, because they never hear I love you, or rarely hear I love you. So we constantly are saying, I love you, I'll see you next week, I love you, call me if you need me. And so it's family in addition. So we're giving like a community. So the I love you sign is beautiful. We use it in our live workshops too, and use that and challenged it for 35 years.
In the making of the Dream Academy,
Yes.
what are the main achievements that you want to see happening on the ground, dripping, coming out from the Dream Academy? That these are the things that we are shaping.
Yeah.
Is maybe achievements, I should say.
Yeah.
When one goes through the Dream Academy,
Yeah.
what do you want him or her to become?
Let me tell you what they say, the graduates.
Yes.
This week has been graduate week,
Okay.
the week 10.
All right.
And so in week 10, each graduate gets up and they get to share what did they take with them, what did they learn. And I heard this week things like, I feel like a human being again. I heard the words, I love you, first time in my life. We have a parenting class. We have parents saying, I'm not hitting my kids anymore. I'm not telling them they're bad kids because I know they'll believe me and then they'll grow up thinking they're bad. So they are getting for them a community, they're getting love. We also have a whole lesson on apologies and forgiveness. Because resentment, like LGBTQIA plus refugees
Yes.
have a lot of trauma in their emotional balloons. And caused by human beings, it's not from a tree falling on them usually,
Yes.
it's from another human being
Inflicting
treating
pain.
them, yeah.
Yes.
So they need to heal that hurt, they need to heal that trauma in some way. So in the Dream Academy, what we do is through the process of looking at what happened in the past, I could live my life hating that police officer who beat me up or
Yes.
assaulted me and put me in jail,
Yes.
hating my parents who kicked me out of the house simply because I was born gay. I have blue eyes, you have brown eyes, you're gay, I'm not, it's just a fact.
Yes.
It's just a fact. But if I live with resentment, resentment is the poison we feed ourselves, hoping they will die.
So you dwell your message, or you put much emphasis of your message in the love.
Yes.
You are not there in promoting the gays, are you?
In promoting human beings, loving everyone. I mean, a lot of people in Africa are Christians, not all, but a lot. Muslims, Christians, you know.
Yes.
So many people who hurt people say they're Christian. So many people who are beaten or raped or tortured or put in jail, LGBTQIA people will proudly say, I'm Christian. Christian means to be Christ-like.
Yes.
That's all it means. Christ never did those things, ever, to anybody. It's the opposite of Christian, opposite of Christ-like. How did this happen?
The argument that most of the Christian fraternity or the people who call themselves Christian,
And this isn't just in Africa, this is around the world.
This is around the-
Yeah.
we look at the Bible, and Apostle Paul calls this as an abomination.
Yeah.
He says this is an abominable act. So he puts out
Of
straight
which? Of being gay? Or what are you talking about?
of so we can call it of being gay. I don't want
An
to
act
really,
of a man with a man or
yes.
woman. Okay.
So those are abominable, and for you to rightly say, I am going to teach these people love. Do you still believe that the principles you are footing on are still of the same way of God? Because it says on the other side, it's an abomination.
Who wrote the Bible?
We just read.
Who wrote it? People. People. It's been translated over and over again. And it's been translated to some people's desires or their thinking. And but nowhere in the Bible does it say Jesus hurt anyone, but there's lots of examples of what Jesus did to the least of their children. Prostitutes, people on the street, people with leprosy. Jesus loved them all. And so I sit back and say, if I chose to be a Christian, which means to be Christ-like,
Yes.
I will watch what Christ did, not what men wrote. I look at Christ's life, clear. No one will argue with me. No Christian will say, if I said, yeah, Jesus beat kids because he thought they were gay, no one would say you're right. Just stick with the truth. If you want to call yourself a Christian, be Christ-like and love everyone. You don't judge. The Bible says that. Don't judge.
Yeah.
It's God who will do the judging, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The context as to which I come with this question is simply because on the other side, we are supposed to be like God.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Made in God's image.
We are God's image.
Mm-hmm.
We ought to be like him. He says, draw near me and I will draw near you,
Yeah.
and be like me.
Yes.
These words we are talking about now, we still get them in the same Bible that you say has been diluted.
Mm-hmm.
It's not in the same form as it was or it was supposed
Yes,
to
it's
be, because
been-
men, scholars, sat and edited
Yeah. And translated.
and translated
And many,
and
many
lost
languages.
some of the words
Yeah.
out of it.
If we translate things in many African languages into English, there's things that don't translate directly.
They don't mean the same
It don't
thing.
mean the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so people, I don't believe people are, probably did it intentionally, but even just the translation. I have conversations with my African friends, and we have to go, oh no, what in America when
Yeah,
we
it
say that,
means this.
it means that,
Okay.
oh, here it means this. And so, when you translate things over and over again, but in the Bible, if you just take what Jesus did, that's all you need. And Jesus never said those things.
For someone watching us right now,
Mm-hmm.
listening to what you are saying, I want that person to not be confused
Yes.
by your answering.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Because I want you to give me a straight answer on this one.
Mm-hmm.
Are you funding or helping to or promoting the gay community?
No. We are in the work we do, but what our purpose is to help anybody that needs help. It happens to be in this world today, LGBTQIA, add refugees to it, are the least of God's children, the way they're treated on this planet. I cannot sit by. I don't care. I'm a heterosexual woman married to a man, but I have a heart. How can I sit by and watch how people, my brothers, my sisters, I don't care if you're gay or straight, I'd be doing this for anybody. I've worked with children. I work with people who are addicted to drugs. Anybody. I work with police officers. If you're being hurt, I'm there to help you. It just happens to be around the world who needs our help the most. And us to wake up and become conscious to our LGBTQIA community and refugees. That's it. Who that is. It isn't like I woke up and said, my agenda is for the gay people. I do have a daughter who's lesbian.
You
But
are
that's
like
not
Jesus who said, I came for the sick.
Yeah. And the weak and the ones who are being hurt.
Your main purpose in the Dream Academy is to bring safe place to the traumatized people, if we put it in a short way.
Yes.
Is it that reason?
Yes, and some of our classes, for example, our parenting class, they're not all LGBTQIA, but they're parents who are refugees and suffering. So, let's bring it. It's not, you know what I'm saying?
I got
Who
it.
is hurting? This is our family.
Dream Academy in the shortest way,
Mm-hmm.
and the shortest way is there to help the ones who are depressed, regardless of who they are in the standing order of the community?
Yes. Well, right now, we are funded to take care of LGBTQIA refugees.
Yes.
So that's what we do there.
Okay.
That's not the only work I do.
Yes.
I work with all different groups, and Justin does other things too, but right now, our passion
Yes.
is like,
The focus on
Yeah.
the pandemic has been too much in this area of people.
no, some people would say it's an accident that I was awake. I don't believe it. I believe things happen for a reason. But, to be educated, I was educated 3 years ago.
Yes.
Yeah, I know there's refugees, and I've worked with refugees in Holland and different places, and I get it, but I never got it to the degree. And then you add LGBTQIA refugees, and and it's not just one or two stories, and it's their family, and it's their community, and it's their school, and it's their police officers, and the medical system. What do we want to do? Just take these people and just get rid of them off the earth? Our brothers, our sisters, our children, our parents.
The root where these people, for someone to be called is a foreign or is a refugee,
Yeah.
he may have left his country
Yeah.
for different reasons.
Mhm.
And for the LGBTIQI community, the main reason could be that the legal framework in their country prohibits such acts.
Yes.
In just teaching them without dealing with the root cause,
Yeah.
that's opening up a tap for people to flood into your organization. Don't you see that? Because the root cause
I
is
understand.
the legal framework
Yes.
that the place
Yes.
where these people are running
Yes.
away from.
Yes, I get that. So, I don't live in this country.
Yes.
I live in America. I'm dealing with the political system there. In the state of Florida, just recently, without anybody hardly knowing, there was a bill passed where in schools, you cannot say the word gay.
Yeah.
A child cannot say it. I have gay parents. I have lesbian, two mothers. My grandson has two mothers. My daughter is a lesbian married to my other daughter, now my daughter-in-law. And my grandson won't be able to say, I have two moms. Like, who does that? If I said, your child can't say I have a mom and a dad out loud legally, it just doesn't even make any sense. You know, it's not just here. So I'm not, I listen to politics. I need to know what's going on, but that's not why I came to Earth this time. I came to Earth to help people heal. And I'm here, my mission is to help the people heal who can change politics, who can change the system, but they can't do it if they're filled with trauma. So my job is that at this time on the planet. And I watch them fly, and they know more about their countries they came from. They know about the system, and I can be there and just supporting them, cheering them, and being an ally. One thing about being a heterosexual woman, this isn't my cause for me.
Yeah.
This is certainly for my children, but it's for the world.
This is a big cause, and with very important issues that you deal with day by day.
Yes.
When you sleep at night, how do you feel going through training this, teaching this, at least counseling this one, in your own personal life, attached to the organization that you deal with?
How do I feel?
How do you feel?
Like split. I watch these folks I fall in love with just step into their power and brilliance and the light of God, and I watch them get ready to change the world and do whatever needs to happen on this planet. And then I go to bed at night after hearing the stories, and I cry for hours because I love them. I fell in love with them. But then I cry it out because my balloon can't stay full. I can't help them. So I cry, and Rich and I and Justin hold each other, and we cry, and then we come back. Our balloons are empty, and we hold their tears again. And we hold their stories again. And then we start over. We go to bed, or we cry again, and then we start again.
In the midst of the whole organization, you also have men of cloth or pastors.
Yes, many.
It's something that needs psychological brilliance, or I can say maybe intellectual brilliance, because you have these people well trained, very articulate in the way they explain the words of God, and two sides fighting in its ideological position.
Yeah.
How does this messaging of someone knowing the word theological upright to the side of loving and also managing the pressure that comes behind this whole change or shift? If one is a pastor and now is a gay, there's a shift of attention from people, and on the other side, learning from you. If someone is just having the opportunity to listen to us, what message can you give such a person going through that transition and is under pressure?
A pastor?
Yeah.
Well, first, I have to do the same thing I do for someone who's not a pastor. Is just support them, and what's your story, and what happened, and feel that and heal. But what better pastors than people who know what it feels like to live in hell on earth from your family, from your community. What a pastor is there to teach the word of God or the word of Jesus, or whatever your tradition you're teaching. But all of them, the basis is love. No action of hate is love. And so the pastors, my God, so here they are bringing love, which is what the Bible teaches, and then they get targeted, maybe even killed, maybe kicked out of their church, maybe just, you probably heard the horrific stories. And here they are, just bringing the word of God. And then they get hit with the opposite. See, you cannot get rid of hate with hate. The only way you can get rid of the darkness is with light. It's the only way. So we have to hold our pastors, and anyone, not just the pastors, it's everyone. Because pastors, that's their dedication, that's their job. But everyone needs to be held in the same way.
I'm sure even when you're doing a job, it's not always good and hugs and nice talks and everywhere you go, people accepting you, kissing you. I know that there are challenges.
Yeah.
What are they? What are the challenges that you have faced in your work as you move day by day doing your work? What are the challenges that you face?
Well, first of all, one challenge I don't face is I'm a heterosexual woman. So I don't get the homophobia like the people who are in Dream Academy.
Okay.
So that's for me personally. But the nice part about that is I can go open doors. I can go talk and people are going to go, oh, she's one of those gay people.
Yeah.
I go, no, I'm not. But that's my family you're talking about right there. So that opens doors. The problem, the biggest challenge for me is the resources.
Okay.
Because in the community we're working with, and the amount of abuse and the lack of food, shelter, clothing, that's the biggest challenge. Oh no, it's the biggest opportunity.
Yeah.
I'm from America.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of privilege in America. And so we're figuring out, and there's a lot of us in Dream Academy, and a lot of people around the world who are allies. I mean, there are gay people everywhere. It's like, if you come on, wake up, they're everywhere. And so what we're doing is figuring out, how do we get, I could put on Facebook, I have 15,000 friends, because that's as many as you can put on, on Facebook, and I could put out, I need medicine, I need clothes, I need shoes, I need blankets, I need, and I can get it, but then how do I get it to them in Zimbabwe? How do I get it to them in Botswana? How do I get it to them in Uganda? And how do, so it takes, we're learning how to do this.
Exactly.
It's getting there. We've had 3 people in one of the camps that we're working with. One in particular was sick and close to death, and I had the medicine in my hand.
Wow.
How do I get it there? And so, but we did it. But it took, okay, you can drive there and we'll ship it over here, and then, okay, I'm a white woman, I can't even get into the camp, so who can get, so that's the biggest challenge.
Problems gravitates towards solution.
Mm-hmm.
And as we speak now, we have thousands and millions out there watching and are like, this is the solution. If one has to look at your work with the challenges that you are talking about, how can they get in, and what could be the first steps for healing their own self?
Oh, for healing, well, first of all, people who are accepting of people and want to be part of the Dream Academy, we have assistants come in. We interview them. A lot of people are coming to be there to listen,
Okay.
to be allies, to reflect back. There's nothing wrong with you. You were lied to. And so you can participate. If you're interviewed and we get you a safe place, a safe person, you can actually be part of come to the Dream Academy and be part of it. The other thing that people can do is they can help sponsor. They can sponsor a safe house.
Yes.
They can sponsor food.
Yes.
They can sponsor projects. The projects that they've come up with are incredible. A lot of them are being funded. We're finding ways, and people and organizations that brilliant idea to get water to this community. Let's do it. This is incredible. This, oh my gosh. And then we get it out like, okay, let's fund it. Let's fund it. Let's fund it. And so there's so many ways to play. It's not all trauma and grief, because on the other side of the trauma is this joy and celebration and love and community and fun and celebrate. It's like, so it's beautiful to be part of making a difference and saving lives.
And you can as well watch this episode, right? The details are just running on your screen. You can talk to Yvonne St. John Dutra on that Facebook page that's also running down on your screen. But you can as well visit Facebook page, Tzevaot Podcast and Chill, and also YouTube channel of Tzevaot Podcast and Chill. You are with me, Raphael Moses.